By 1961, Tiki Room was in production, correct?
I think it was a little later than that, but because it opened in '63.
Okay, so tell us, you know, Orlando, tell us a little bit about your experience working. This is your first job, right? Working in the Tiki Room?
Oh, I was. I had after I graduated from school, I went into the service for a couple of years, and then I came out and played with the Chargers for a couple of years, and then they traded me to Buffalo, and I said, that's too cold. I'm a Southern California boy. And so I called my buddy Ron, and I said, hey, you always told me if I ever need a job to call you, is it still open? He says, yeah. So I ended up over at Wood Enterprises, and I was there for about 2 months. It was in, I think it was November '62. And after I was there, after the 2 months was up, I got a call about going over and looking at the Tiki Room on stage 3 at the studio, and they wanted to start to move it down and then get it installed at Disneyland. So that was my first job at coordination. I went over there and looked at this thing, and I was amazed at what I saw. The first audio animatronic show there, which I believe, and I'll throw this out because I never confirmed it, but I think it was on the studio for about 2 or 3 years before they actually moved it down to the park. And I think originally it was going to be a restaurant, but it was such a great show that Walt decided to make it into a show every 15 minutes so more people could see it. So, but anyway, my first job basically was getting that show installed.
What were the challenges for you?
Pardon?
What were the challenges for you?
Oh, well, I'll tell you something. There weren't any, because the people that you work with were so good and so knowledgeable, and everyone there wanted to help each other on it. It was a matter of just knowing when it was needed, and just coordinating at the right times to make things appear at the park when they were needed to do the installation. And there was never a problem that we couldn't solve. You don't even think of things like that.
Walt did solve one problem, and I must tell you, this is, you might not be aware of this, but there's a new word that was bandied about the studio. It was a thing called audio animatronics. You get your mouth around audio animatronics, that's quite something. But that's the movement, the lifelike movement of inanimate objects, you know, which of course Walt was working on Lincoln, he was working on the Enchanted Tiki Room, he was working on many things that had movement of that kind. And Walt used to bring VIPs and friends down to a little corner of stage 3 at the studio, a big, huge sound stage, which was a mock-up of an Enchanted Tiki Room. And it was there that they just had bridge chairs to sit on, and you sat in the middle, and people would sit there and listen to, first of all, orchids would come down out of the sky and sing, and then birds would chirp away, and then tiki torches, tiki poles would be going, you know, and people would look at it fascinated and say to Walt, this is great, Walt, but what the hell is it? It's true. And so Bob and I have been at the studio about a year and a half, 2 years, writing songs for all of the various television shows and movies and things like productions. And one day he said, go down to stage 3 after lunch today, I want you to see something. So Bob and I, this is our first time to even see audio animatronics. So we sat in these little uncomfortable chairs in the middle of this room, and Walt said, okay, now start it. So all of a sudden down came these orchids singing, let's all sing like the birdies sing, and this whole show goes on, and we were looking at it, and after the lights went up again, we looked at Walt and said, it's great, Walt, but what the hell is it? You know, he said, everybody says that. That's it. He said, so I know my brother Bob and I were a little bit confused. We said, why are we here? He says, you're going to write a song that's going to explain all of this. So you're going to start a song on it. Oh, I see. That's what we have to do. We have to explain what this is. Oh my goodness. So we said, now, do you have, perhaps in this menage of birds, do you have a parrot? Because people could believe a parrot could sing and sing a lyric or something. And so Walt immediately, this is how his mind worked. He said, no, but we can have 4 parrots. We can have a Dutch parrot, we can have a Spanish parrot, we can have a French parrot. He was already creating something, because then everybody in the room can see the parrot. We'd have him up there, and now you're going to sing me a song. What kind of a song are you going to have? So, you know, you have to think very fast with Walt Disney. You really, truly did. So we have been there, we've been exposed for a half an hour by this time to this Enchanted Tiki Room. And I don't think he even called it then at that time, it was just a tiki room or something. And we said, well, it's tropical, maybe we should do sort of a tropical song. He says, yes, what's my tropical song going to be? So it was, yeah, well, we can do the calypso. He says, calypso, that's good, very good. And I said, this is called the Enchanted Tiki Room, the Tiki Room? He says, yes. And I remember, I looked at Bob, and Bob looked at me and said, tiki, that's a good word. Tiki, 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 that's even better word, gives rhythm. Tiki, tiki, tiki. We can write a song called the Tiki, Tiki, Tiki Room. He says, that's good. When am I going to have my song? Give us a day, please. We went back to our office and started writing away. And of course, that song became the theme. It's been playing now for 50 years. It's amazing. It all started with Walt, as Marty said earlier, having faith in the people he had working for him. He knew that we could come up with something for him, and he just sort of steered us in that direction and said, now go, boys, and we did it. And that was the first time I worked with the Imagineers, and it was a big kick to see that, and to this day it's kind of thrilling to watch the birds come down and sing and everything, and all the parrots doing our little song. It's wonderful.